If you have no treasure in heaven, your spirit will not go. I'm showing you how to move your spirit so that when you sleep, you will not be seeing only cars. How come every night your spirit's only moving to car stand? Let me show you a mystery. We are talking on how to go into the spirit. Yeshua said, where your treasure is, there what? There your heart will be also. Your will is your affection, is your desire. That is the spirit or the will that goes ahead of your body. Wherever the spirit was to go, they went ahead. If you have no treasure in heaven, your spirit will not go. I'm showing you how to move your spirit so that when you sleep, you will not be seeing only cars. How come every night your spirit's only moving to car stand? Let me show you a mystery. A lot of people say, oh, I see myself in the village. I see myself here. I see. Your affection can be used to manipulate your spiritual reality. Your affection is money. And then you give a wicked person money. The person spirits a reality into that thing that is your affection. So whenever your spirit travels, because it's affection, it's on money, so to money it goes. That environment that has already been enchanted traps your spirit and begins to show your spirit experiences that poisons it whenever it returns to you. Look at what God told you. He said, this book of the law should not depart from your mouth. You shall meditate on it day and night until it becomes the only thing you think of. And if that's what you think of, that is where your spirit will always go to. So guess what? Satan changes your affection for God to lust for the world. So guess where your spirit will go? Where your lust is going. Your spirit is powerless to your lust. And when your spirit is sent to that realm of lust, you will see actions being performed on your spirit. Someone has slept with you. Someone did this to you. And then that is the information your spirit will return back with. And guess what your body will do? It will manifest what the spirit has encountered. Wherever the spirit was to go, the wheels went there first. So as the wheels go here, the spirit moves. The wheels go here, spirit moves. By the movement of the wheels, you are able to know where the spirit is going to and where the spirit intends to go to. If it moves right, you know that now the spirit intends to go right. The same way by your affection, you can know where your spirit is gravitating towards. So you enter into the spirit through your thoughts. Spiritual things know when they are being summoned. Now, Cornelius had not yet known the Lord Yeshua. But the Bible says he was a man who feared God. So he was a man who loved the things that were of God. He gave alms. He tried his best to be obedient to the gospel as much as he could. And when I say the gospel, I'm talking about the laws of God that he learned. Yet he had not met the Lord. He tried his best to fulfill whatever command, anything that he had learned that would please God. He was doing all those things, yet he had not met the Lord. And because that was what consumed his life, consumed his family, even though he was not full of the Spirit and he had not met the Lord, this man was having visions of angels. To become part of the spiritual, you must interact with spiritual things. To become part of the demonic, you must interact with demonic things. To become part of the world, you must interact with earthly things. So how do you interact with this world every day and you expect to see the kingdom of God? You think of this world, fantasize of this world. That's what raptures your mind. The worries of this earth, the problems of this earth, and you begin to ask yourself, why is it that I've never seen an angel before? The wheels is going somewhere else. How do you expect the spirit to go a different place? So whenever the body enters into the state called darkness, the affection travels, and then the spirit travels with the affection. And then woe to a man whose affection has been manipulated by darkness. When the spirit enters into that world, he will meet a stage already set by demons. So they will create a world where your spirit meets an evil forest and a masquerade. And guess what? They will walk your spirit out and it will return with dread and fear. When you enter back into the physical state, you say, oh, thank God it was a dream. It was just a dream. Because the mind is primitive. The human mind is a great downgrade. You know, I told you something about that. I said, when something leaves the spiritual world, sometimes its value is downgraded before it comes to earth. You don't know how powerful meditation is. You will meditate until you begin to see what you're meditating on. I want you to be able to see Yeshua when he walked on water. So for the next 1 week, begin to think of Yeshua walking on water. He's your Lord. How did he walk on water? and then you are trying to envision it. Your mind will try to put up what it feels, because your body will try to say, what is this person's spirit meditating on? It will try to suggest picture, because he too is trying to understand what you're talking about. And when we talk about the you of the flesh, we're not talking about a different person. We're only talking about the downgraded version of yourself, which is the unenlightened. That's the unenlightened version. The difference between the spirit and the flesh is light. Just as you can sit down here now, you have information in your mind, yet you are struggling to remember it. And you're asking yourself, what is wrong with me? Guess what? If your affection are on the things above, do you know what affection is? If your affection is on the things above, your communication will be with the things above. Anytime you hear something is of God, you are interested in it. The will is now being configured. The will is now being configured to travel somewhere different from your village. You don't believe me? Let me show you something. In fact, he uses the word treasure. You see, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. He uses the word treasure. So John said, I was in the spirit on the last day. I was in the spirit on the last day, and I heard, and I told you. The spiritual world is a state of existence, a plane of existence. And in this plane of existence, there are many kingdoms that host diverse realities. And for you to access those kingdoms, your heart must be unlocked to them, so that your spirit can journey to their world. They all exist in levels of dominion. You don't travel there by distance. So he said, do not look up, look there. He says inside you. So it is what is done inside that can give you access to that realm you are trying to go to. Because your body doesn't go there. Flesh and blood cannot enter the kingdom of God. Doesn't go there. Flesh and blood is a slave of distance, space and time. This realm will travel there by thought first. That's why the fastest speed is the speed of thought. In the spiritual world, if you think of your house, you are there already. It's night here now. If you're at home, think of your working place, where you work. If you're at work, think of your house. If you're in the parlor, think of your room. The moment you think your room, you see yourself there. That's how you travel in the spirit. You cannot explain it with distance or time. So you have many realms with you in one place. You can choose to enter here, and then the next time you are already there. So, but guess what? You need to be in the spirit. Just as I need to be in the body to interact with this world. And if my body is put to sleep, it goes into the state called darkness. And once it goes into that state, I'm disconnected from this realm. But I'm not dead to this realm. That's why my body has to be put into a state. It's a state. It also exists in a state, but it has to be put to darkness, so that I'm no longer conscious to this world. And then, by my thoughts, my spirit can now journey to where my treasure is. Let's look at Ezekiel 37. See, I can't just tell you, how to enter into the spirit. Number one, do this. Pray 2 hours. No, sir. You will take all those instructions in the flesh. What was upon him? The enablement of the Lord. Now, I didn't put the part of the hand of the Lord being upon you, because we're all Christians listening to this. If an unbeliever is listening to this now, I will tell you the hand of the Lord has to be upon you first. Because if that kingdom is not unlocked to you, if you do astral travel, you cannot go there. You would only astral project to the realm of the spirit that enabled you to journey out in the spirit. You cannot project to another kingdom. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and what? Carried me out in the spirit. In what? So he was in the spirit of the Lord. The spirit of the Lord was his transport mode by which he went out. Out of where? Out of his body. Now you see, I'm not talking about the manifest presence of God. Okay, but how do I see open vision? That is the presence manifest. It opens up gates for you in the language you can understand. It's before your realm. So that whole thing that is happening would only be in your house. So I can be standing here and experiencing a Mara, where the presence of the Lord is now manifest, taking up forms that can communicate to me. But guess what? That sound as of a rushing mighty wind would only be in my house. It will fill my whole house. My neighbor standing by my house, which is my body, will not be able to see what I'm seeing. So he carried me out in the spirit. And then he went to a terrain. And that terrain was what? Was a valley full of dry bones. So if you saw Ezekiel on that day that he was having this vision, it will seem as though Ezekiel was sleeping. Ezekiel can be sleeping that way for another 10 days, and he will not die, because the power that carried him out in the spirit has put his body in a state. And in that state, the use of energy is minimized greatly. How do you know these things, prophets? If I have the gift of prophecy and I can what? Understand all mysteries and all knowledge. All mysteries. When it comes to a prophet, it is open. The same way the prophet Ezekiel looked at the wheel and he understood the relationship between the wheel and the spirit. The Bible did not say, and God was now telling him, this is what the wheel is, this is what the spirit is, this is what... He was looking at it and understanding at the same time. He said the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheel. So wherever the spirit will go, you will know by where the wheel is going to. So form was given to the intentions of the spirit of the living creature through the movements of the wheel. So now, in layman's language, how do I get into the spirit realm? The first way is to cast your thoughts on the things of the spirit. So guess what? You need an object of contact. The same way a witch to cast spell on you needs an object of what? Contact. This book of the law, to meditate, you must meditate therein. It becomes your object of meditation. Cast your affection on things above. You need to know the things above so that your affection can... Do you know what is cast? Throw it there. And then your spirit will follow. If your affection is on the things of the flesh, you don't have any business with spiritual encounters and travels. Except God in his own sovereignty wants to cause a manifestation for a reason. You can exist in that plane, that state of reality throughout your whole life till you die. Your children will come, exist the same way. To your 7th generation, you will be man after the mankind. Make money, marry husbands, marry wives, build, give birth, die, and it will be the normal life of a man who is aware of the human life. You will sleep and dream of the mankind. That's what it means for a man's light to become darkness. Now, that's the first way. The second way to come into the spirit is by invitation. If the spirit invites you, you will be brought there. You are sitting and then you are sucked into that realm by invitation. I know of a man who was caught up, that's invitation. He was doing his own thing and all of a sudden, bam, he's in the spiritual world. Heard many things that are not lawful to utter among men. There is a law in that realm that these things you hear, seal it till you die. So the first way is by meditation. The second way is by invitation. I have explained what I mean by meditation. Casting your affection on spiritual things altogether. The third way to come into the spirit is by impartation. You have meditation, you have invitation, you have impartation. Impartation can, number one, be presence-based, object-based, or intention-based. Number one, present-based. It means you were at a place of high spiritual traffic, and that operation overcame your human consciousness. Rapidly, it overcame you. And guess what? You found yourself interacting with that realm because you were with... The Bible said when Saul came among the band of prophets, he was given another heart because your heart has to be involved in this thing. And then he began to interact with the spiritual realm as though he was one of the prophets. Object-based in the sense that if you go and interact with a sacred thing, a thing with high spiritual value, because they are objects that are valuable to spiritual entities on earth. An object that is of high spiritual value, you go and interact with it. You go and sleep near the Ark of the Covenant, like Samuel, you will begin to hear very soon. Because any consecrated object, although it is in this world, it doesn't exist in this world. If this handkerchief becomes a consecrated object, although it is in this world, it's not of this world. In the spiritual realm, it's on that part that is between this world and the other world. So you are in the world, you are not of the world. You are a consecrated object. How can they sleep on your bed and what they are seeing is people sleeping with them? Number 3, impartation based. One who is a prophet can say, Lord, open the eyes of this man. Let him see. So guess what? His intentions are imparted to you. You have no business in the spirit, but because he prayed, there's a overhauling that happens to you instantly. You are thrown into a state. So these 3 points were listed under what? Present-based impartation. Number 2, object-based impartation. Number 3, intention-based impartation. Intention. It was the intention of Yeshua to impart on the disciples a knowledge of the spiritual world on the Mount Olive. Intention-based impartation. So the first way to go into the Spirit is by what? Meditation. The second way to go into the Spirit is what? Invitation. The third way is what? By impartation.